Really, friends, it does not matter whether you are black or white. The only way you'll ever change things is to fight and fight and fight. I was born and raised in the coal mining camp, and I've composed a lot of songs, but most of them is about my own life and about the life of other coal miners and their families. Sometimes I compose a song about when I get lonely or a lot of things. But anyway, it has to be something that concerns me, my life, you know, something that affects me. And I kind of sad. I'm a sad singer, they say.
Sarah Garland was born a coal miner's daughter in eastern Kentucky in 1910. The Garlands were singing people, especially Sarah's mother. She passed on a large collection of ballads, hymns, love songs, and stories to her 15 children. Sarah, her brother Jim Garland, and a half-sister Aunt Molly Jackson are known today for their traditional singing and original songs of protest.
Oh, she was between 14 and 15 when I met her. And I met her, and we hit it off. We became very good friends right away. And we went on, and then I met Jim, her brother, and we only was good friends while we became sister-in-laws. And we was pretty close from that day on. The Garland family, they like to sing. And Jim and Sarah, they was always singing, and they'd gather, even go out on their porch and sit down and go to singing, and 10 minutes, our yard was full of people. And we'd go to church, and that's just about the entertainment. There wasn't a lot of entertainment those days. We had no movies, no nothing, no radio, nothing.
I wish I was a clerksman, could write a fine hand. I'd write my love letter that she'd understand. I'd send it on water that never overflow. Go back to Kentucky, try Nancy once more. Loving Nancy, I have returned home. I always did love you, and for your sake mourned. We're going to get married, I'd die for your sake. I threw my arms around her and felt her heart break.
She didn't tell her mother she was getting married. She told me. We were pretty close friends, so I knew everything was going on. And she told me they were going to Middlesburg, Cumberland Gap, to get married. He was a miner, same as the rest of them. He worked in the mines he worked in the mines and him sick. He had this lung trouble. He worked till they got, they struck. Naturally, he struck with them. He's a strong Union man.
During this depression, there was no demand for coal. The mines were only running about 1 and not over 2 days a week. And you could hear these miners say, well, you can strike and starve, or you can work and starve. There's no difference, you see. And what it finally came to, it was a war against starvation.
You didn't have enough sometimes when you come out, you hadn't made enough that day to get food for your dinner that night. And they wanted to cut it down, I think, to 35 or 32 cents a ton. And there was no way in the world that they could live. They'd just be working for the companies. So they said, well, we just strike. But after it got started, well, then we wasn't doing too good, and this new union come in, they call National Miners Union. And they really got into it then. They organized and bringing people in. Had quite a thing going there a while.
In the early 30s, 31, when the National miners' union came to Kentucky. Now, the NMU was a communist-led union in a period when communists were very sectarian. They believed that the revolution was imminent, the capitalism was on its last legs, and that only militant workers could bring the revolution to bear. And so the class-conscious Marxists came from New York City, largely to Kentucky, to help organize the NMU.
Come on, friends, and let's go down, let's go down, let's go down. Come on, friends, and let's go down, down on the picket line. We went out one morning before daylight, and I was sure we'd have a fight, but the scabs was careless and ran away. We went back the very next day. Come on, friends, and let's go down, let's go down, let's go down. Come on, friends, and let's go down, down on the picket line. As I went down the picket line to keep the scabs out of the mine. Who's gonna win the strike? Come on, and we'll show you the way. We all went out on the railroad track to meet the scabs and turn them back. We win the strike, I'm glad to say. Come on, and we'll show you the way.
These thugs was running loose, just beating up miners and throwing them in jail. They had rules there that there was not more than 3 people allowed to congregate together. And if they caught more than 3 people in a group, well, they would arrest them, and the charge they'd make against them would be banding and confederating. And it finally came down to the point, if you was trying to feed any of these starving people, you was trying to overthrow the government. And if they beat you up or killed you for doing this, why, that was law and order.
People from all over the country was up in arms about it, and any of them thought they could do anything, they come down to see what they could do to help out. And Harry was one of them. Young kid, he just graduated from school and come down. He was a great organizer. He was a great kid.
He was very close to Jim Garland, and the gun thugs killed Harry Sims, and then Jim Garland wrote a magnificent eulogy. With the collapse of the NMU strike, people like Sarah, Jim, and Aunt Molly and others were dispersed.
And all you coal miners, wherever you may be, and listen to a story that I'll relate to thee. My name is nothing extra, but the truth to you I'll tell. I am a coal miner's wife, I'm sure I wish you well. I was born in old Kentucky, in the coal camp, born and bred. I know all about the pinto beans, bulldog gravy and cornbread. I know how the coal miner worked and slaved in the coal mines every day. For $1 in the company store, for that is all they pay. Coal mining is the most dangerous work in our land today, with plenty of dirty slaving work and very little pay. Coal miner, won't you wake up and open your eyes and see what the dirty capitalist system is doing to you and me? They take our very lifeblood, they take our children's lives, take fathers away from children and husbands away from wives. Oh, miners, won't you organize wherever you may be, and make this a land of freedom for workers like you and me. I am a coal miner's wife, I'm sure I wish you well. Let's sink this capitalist system in the darkest pits of hell.
She went through things that is almost unbearable. It scares you to even think of it. She lost one of her little babies died from starvation. She couldn't get food there in Kentucky at that time. The strike, you didn't have any way to earn a penny. There was no milk, nothing for the kids, you know, and she couldn't get any work. She'd go to Pineville, anywhere she could have got a work, you know, a day's work. She'd work for anything just for milk for a baby. But they weren't such thing as work. And it just starved to death. That's really what happened to it. Then it went on from one to the other, and she lost another little boy. She lost her husband there, and her husband was sick during all the trouble strike. There, he was had quite a cavity in his lung. It was pretty bad, and there was no way to get a doctor for him, get any medication for him. So he went down the courthouse one day, and they thought, well, Sarah did anyway, and she'd go try, ask them if there was any way that they could get him in the hospital to help him, and they said no. Said, we have no hospital, we can't get him in any hospital, but said, you know, said that's contagious, and you shouldn't have him in the house with you, the rest of the family. You know, the kids is going to get it, and you're going to get it. Said, best thing he can do if you have nowhere else for him to sleep is take a pillow and a blanket and let him sleep under the floor. Well, you know, that didn't go too well with her. That was an awful thing. I just never heard of such thing, but that's what they told her.